Here we are. This is the continuation of the first video on modeling taxiways. So we're just going to continue with what we left off with here. Um, really what we need to do now is just add the taxi lines. And so, yeah, what I think I'll do, I'll just show you one or two examples, and then that's pretty much all we really need to cover. Yeah, so let's start off with that. So I think the best way of going about this, let's start out with this model right here. We are going to go to shapes, and we're going to create a line. And you know what? Never mind. Let's actually create an arc. Let's create just an arc. All right. This would all end. If we had a background, if we were working off a background image, this would be a little easier because you could follow the taxi lines and give it a little more precise. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it here. So what if I click there? What you have to do for an arc, you have to click, drag to your endpoint, which is going to be somewhere here. I think right there in that line is center. Alright. Then we're just going to bring it out a ways. That doesn't work quite the way I'll do it, so I might do it a little bit further in here. We'll try something like that. I'm kind of just using those two lofts there as references on the position. Okay, we'll try something like that. That's one way to make a bend. We can also use the line tool, however, which works well too. It just depends on which way you want to go. So you could do it this way, which in a lot of ways works a lot easier. In fact, I'm going to stick with that one. I'm going to delete this arc that we made. Yeah, it all kind of depends on what you're doing. I'm going to use this line instead. In fact, I need to redraw that. I'm going to do a little nicer here. You're right there, about center. And we'll right about there, might bring in right there. Alright, and now I'm just going to end that. Okay, we're going to leave that alone now. We're going to make a new line. This one, well, let's see. We'll tell you what. We'll make a line down the length of this runway here. Let's see, right from this end. Don't want to start right from the end, but okay. Bring down this end. Make sure it's straight. Click again, and then right click to end the line. Alright. That looks pretty good. We're going to go ahead, we're not going to create another line this way, and you'll see why in a second. Let's go ahead and just create the rest of our lines here. We're going to create one from here to somewhere right about here. We'll set it somewhere at the moment. We're not too worried about position. We'll come back and edit it later. Alright. Do it. This one here. We can click there in the line. And then we want to click right from that line. Oops, we lost. No, we didn't. Okay, I thought we had lost the other line here. Alright, so we're going to start right there where we left off. Click. click in and drag. We're just going to kind of match that curve. Something about like so. Just trying to get kind of, you know, centered. Okay, we ended that. Then we're going to create a new one. Alright. We're going to just make it, you know, somewhere right about there. And we're not going to create a curve here. Let's leave that. Alright, so this is all good to go. Well, except for we need to... Well, actually we don't. Let's see. All we have to do actually is just create a new rectangle. I think we can just go ahead and draw the rectangle on from the top view. A lot of times I do it from the front view though. Alright, I'm gonna make the width 0.1 meter in width. That should be good. We can always edit it later, as always. We convert this to editable spleen, and just like we did for other lofts, we're just going to delete the top, select this. I'm going to move it so it is in line with the Y axis here. Or actually that's the Z X axis, but we're moving it to 0, 0 on the Y and Z axis. Alright. Let's go ahead and name that while we have it selected. We're going to call it line underscore temp, and we'll say underscore 01, because we might have more than one if we're actually working on a real model. Alright. Let's go ahead and start lofting some of these lines. So we're actually going to select one of these lines, go back to our Create tab. Just like before, we're going to say Compound Objects, Loft, Get Shape. I'm going to use the Select by Name here. Line Template 1. Alright. That looked like it went well. We're going to edit the skin parameters. We need 0 shape steps, and we'll up the path steps a little bit. We need to about 8 or 9, you know. It depends on how detailed you want it and how much, you know, kind of budget your polygons. But you know, you shouldn't. You really don't have to worry too much about how many polygons you use in ground polys. I mean, you're not going to end up with, you know, too many unless you're working on a huge project. But alright, that looks good. Let's go ahead and loft some of these other lines. So just like before, we're going to go ahead and select this. We might want to go ahead and just get this positioned a little better, so we're going to actually just go ahead and move it up a little bit. That way. And maybe before we loft that line, let's select this loft. We'll call this loft underscore, underscore curve underscore, we'll say 01. Alright. Let's clone this loft. So we're going to say edit clone. We are going to make this an instance, and we'll call it, and see there, the way it works now, we have loft curve 1 and automatically says loft curve 2 for the next one. So that's nice and handy. But make sure it's an instance. Okay, I'm going to copy it. Let's move it over here, and we are going to rotate it. In this case, we're rotating 180 degrees, and we're just moving it into position here. Looks like it's in line more or less. We might move it this way a little more. We have the R line right here, which is disappearing when we unselect it. Let's go ahead and edit this line. So we're going to select this vertex because it's too long. We're going to select this vertex and move it up right about there. We can move this loft up to the side a little bit more in a second. I move it to this end of this curve here, right there. Okay, so a little more editing on the position of this loft. We have to deselect vertex here. Alright. Right there. Now let's go ahead and select this line and loft it. So we're going to go to loft, get shape. There we go. And this time we need 0 path steps. Just one straight line. Kind of move it into place so it lines up with everything. Looks pretty good. We can go ahead and move this loft down if we like. Let's make sure we have the loft selected. Just there we go. In fact, we're gonna have to move it over. Well, we don't need to move it over, I guess. Or maybe just a teeny bit. Let's check how we lined up on this edge. We have some overlap, so we can move this loft over. Let's get selected and move tool. Right. That looks good. I think I'll just keep recording here, but might fast forward in the video just to, because this is all the same deal now. So, in fact, I'm just gonna do that. I think first though, before I think about doing any fast forwarding or anything like that, what we can do now, we can keep cloning these lofts. So we can say edit, clone. And so now it's loft curve 3, so it just keeps naming them like that consecutively. We can move this loft over here. We can rotate it 90 degrees here. Move it so it's right where about needs to be. Right there. And we'll make one more here. And as you may already know, an instant works sort of like a component would in SketchUp. So you do something to one instance, it's going to do it to all the other ones. So that'll be useful when we come to texturing these. It'll save a lot of time. Can move this one into place. Plus, you don't have to loft, you know, more than one curve. And then we can go ahead and select this line, and we can edit that vertex, so or move it down. So right there. And so in fact, instead of stopping the video and finishing this, we can actually go onto one of these here. Let's go ahead and loft some of these right here. This time, we could actually just go ahead and select these lines. I'm thinking I'm going to apply a concrete texture to this taxiway. I'm going to use asphalt on this one. What I'll do, I'll just select what we used to loft these other taxiway edges. I'm just going to select that shape. There we go. And we are just going to loft it just like anything else. Grab our same template right here, and that's lofted. But the one thing I may do, if I get that reselected here, I may move it this way and that way just a little bit. You can see there now I like to place the line right over the edge of this loft here, if I can. And that's pretty close. Just in case if there was a seam, I don't anticipate there'll be one, but if there is anything that shows, that'll cover it up, or partly. Plus that's about where you want a taxi line anyways, but it's just a good idea anyways. So same thing here. I'm just gonna do this real quick. Pretty easy stuff. Move it that way. And again, over here we'll do the same thing, you know, for the edges of these taxiways, because we're going to need to have an edge line too, which is just the same deal as doing the center lines. So in fact, I'll show you. There we go. Let's see. Now these, since we're going to use a concrete texture, let's go ahead and loft it again. Let's get that line selected if we can. Let's keep clicking on it here. There we go. Edge one, that's what it's called. Just a rectangle. Alright, looks like it's selected. Now we're going to say loft. Get shape. Line template. There, I'm not going to move this, we won't move this taxi line, we'll leave it right where it is. Same for the rest of these right here, don't move these. Whoops, I messed that one up. Okay, there we go. And so anyhow, that's basically, you know, the general idea of things. Let's see, I know there's a curve, or a line that we used to loft, make these lofts. I'm not sure where it is. But we could loft the edge line off of that if we still had it. I might have, you know what, I might have deleted those by now I think about it. Which is fine, we can just draw a new line, or you might even be able to use these lofts once again. I wasn't sure how they're going to fit on the edge there, but I can go ahead and give it a shot. Let's see. I will say edit, clone, make another one, instance, just like before. Just see how this one of these would fit on this edge. And sometimes you want to create a new loft, because else you'll start noticing that this curve looks exactly the same as that curve, and there's not enough, you know, it doesn't look random enough. You know, it just doesn't looks a little too perfect. But I think this will work fine for here. I think this line will work. We'll just use this. So I'm just gonna set it right about there. It's pretty much all just eyeballing it. I mean, you could measure it out if you wanted to, but I don't think it's necessary. And so yeah, I think I'm just gonna finish these lines up, restart the video. Well, actually, yeah, restart the video, kind of conclude, wrap up things, and then it'll be on to texturing. Alright, be back in a second. Alright, so I got most of the taxi lines put in. I think I'm just going to lay off all the rest of these taxiways, just because, you know, just a tutorial. This is more than enough to show you guys how to get going on it. I also, you know, made taxiways for these. I'm going to go ahead and delete this rectangle because we're not using it. Went ahead and made taxi lines for these. These lofts were based off of the edge that we used to make the larger loft, the edge loft here. And then I moved them, like I was saying before, to the edge here. This is a little different here. Now, if you want to get a little fancy, this is more of an experiment. What I did, since we'll be applying our Taxiline textures to this, I wanted to see if I could add some wear to the texture. So on the side here, I just have a regular Taxiline in our texture here, and then right over here I have a Taxiline with some wear put over top. And the way I made this, created a new layer obviously. Just went straight black, took the paintbrush, blotted some black in there, and then took the smudge tool, smudged it out just on the one end. Alright? And then I duplicated that layer, flipped it vertically. And then I kind of smudged, and then I merged those two layers together. And then I kind of smudged them to kind of just, bring them together into a nice, fairly even looking. And then I just brought down the opacity. I decided to keep the Taxiline. I was going to keep it below the wear, but I found that darkened it too much, so I'll keep it above the wear and just keep the opacity down. That's one thing I'm doing here, guys. I'm setting it to maybe 80% opacity on the Taxiline. So back in Gmax here, I guess really the one thing I want to stress a lot here is to make clones where you can. So again, like we did, we had all these curves here are clones. These two edge lofts here, which in fact I need to edit this loft because we only need one pass step. But you'll notice when I edit that one loft, since they're instances, it does the same to this one, so I don't have to do the same thing over again. Let's see here. These are clones. Just pretty much anything where you can clone them, wherever there's symmetry, just do it because, yeah, it's going to be worth it in the long run. It's going to save a lot of time. You'll be happy you did. Alright, so that kind of concludes the modeling here. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I can think of, and there isn't at this time. If there is, then I'll add more to the video and, whatever, edit it and re-upload it or whatever. But I think that's going to do it for now for the modeling. Just watch out for the texture applying videos to come. I'm going to have to work on those next, so yeah. And one last thing, let's see here. I forgot to check to make sure these were all the lofts that we created were level, which I can tell already that they're not. You can see that these lofts aren't. So basically what you'd have to do is just go in here. In fact, you can see all our lofts right here. We can just, let's enlarge our front view here. We can just select this. We have one rectangle right here. That's probably why it didn't end up level. We're going to hold down Control and select the rest of these lofts if we can. Let's try that again. Select these. Right, and select those. Alright. Let's move these down to ground level real quick. Alright, now I can truly say that we are done.